it was really weird. It was like 3:11. I woke up in my mind, and my dream wasn't all that gory, like in comparison to most often. And but what happened was, you and I were in a art type gallery. It was some sort of like I'm cooler than shit kind of small town kind of meets like big pimpin' kind of thought, you know what I'm talking about? And it was just kind of like, I don't know, a regular box store kind of setup. Thank you. And, you know, typical everything was white, and it was like a building. And we're in there, and the guy that's in charge of it, it's like a guild or not a consignment place, a co-op or something. And the guy that's in there is trying to take advantage of us for like, I don't remember. There was like we were fighting over money, and it was like $200 in some regard. He might have owed us, and yet he was going to charge us money for something else, and then he wanted us to put a membership on it, and we really typically don't, you know, like typical, we don't have the money to pay him like whatever he wants right now, or he feels we owe him for being in the building or whatever. Yeah, he wanted us to pay him for viewing the exhibit or something, and then he owed us 50 more. And anyway, it would have worked out that if he would have paid us what he owed us, we would have still been like $100 to the good. So what is he talking to us about paying him for? Which is like what typical our lives, right? Somebody owes us, yet they still want us to pay for something. And so we're bickering with this guy. And all of a sudden, it turns into we're in a train car that's like the size of this area here, the whole living room. Like the front end over here is still that gallery type space, and he's still there, and you're still there, and I look out the window in time, just enough time to see like 4 horses shoot past. I saw a blur of a little girl. I saw a larger man with her, like between where she was sitting in a typical stagecoach situation, like where the driver would be outside of the other coach, and then like a train car that their coach was like a train car, and then it started getting closer and closer and closer, like the horses went past us, the little girl shot past us. I just caught a glimpse of the guy who was like reaching back for his car somehow, like he was trying to stop it, and it came in, and all of a sudden we're sitting down, and Nani's there, you're there, my Grandpa Smith, who you haven't met, he's there, and this coach, the corner of the front left, comes through and puts a hole about a quarter of the way through the side of our car, and everybody starts screaming. Now there's more people, there's seats, they're sitting there, and it seemingly looks like everything's fine. Like, whew, we all made it. And I look out towards the side here to, you know, to the back of what our car is, and there's a hole outside, and there's I mean, you can see out there, but everything looks almost in a good enough order. And people are sitting in like wooden pews, like church almost. And there's a whole window thing here. And I'm like, oh, everything's good. And then all of a sudden there's like horses inside. Like, everything's morphing really quick now. I can't tell you what happened. And then my grandpa Smith died. He didn't make it. So I don't know what happened. And then Nani got up, and she was wearing her pink coat, hot pink pants, those shoes, and she got up and she walked to the end of the side of the car, and we're like, way over here. She walked all over here to the open window and goes up. Didn't crawl up, floated up. And I'm like, and I just lost it. I started screaming. I was like, Nani, 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 Nani. And I ran to this back part, and I looked up and I asked somebody who might have also been my Grandpa Smith, a live version. I don't know. I can't tell you what happened at this point. Where'd she go? Where'd she go? What happened? Did she just float up there? And the person, I telepathically, I think, said yes. And I climbed, because I couldn't float. I just climbed up over to the top of the, so I could see on top of our car. And Alina was laying there, but her feet were facing that way, her head was facing this way, and she was like about quarter way. And I was like, Alina, are you okay? Are you okay? And she had her little hands laid out by her side, and she goes, yeah, I'm fine, Mom. And I said, what are you doing? And she told me she was going to go now. And like, she was finally like dead. She's deciding to die now. And I'm like, why are you going? And she goes, basically, she was just tired of living here in the world. She didn't need to be here anymore. And that as a human being, it wasn't all it was cracked up to be, and that she couldn't see the lagoon from underneath the water, and she wanted to be able to see and enjoy that from every angle. And she was explaining to me that she wanted to see every angle of the lagoon. She didn't want to just see the top. And I looked over to the left, and there's like this lagoon kind of thing. And she mentioned like 3 or 4 other things that she couldn't do. And I know it sounds stupid, but she's telling me she can't do these things, so she's going to go ahead and die. And I couldn't do anything to stop it. And she turned pale, and I think she passed away. And I started screaming. And I was screaming. I was like, why won't anybody help me? Because somebody can help me. And I looked down, looked across the train car, and I saw my mother, who was holding someone else. I mean, she's been dead 11 years, I don't know. I saw her holding on to her baby, which would have been me. And maybe it was me. She was holding on to me or somebody, but it wasn't me. I'm standing there with my daughter dying, and then I look, and I'm screaming, help me. Somebody help. And I see you, and you're sitting in the train car, like way up there, and like in the 3rd row, right before the tear. And I'm screaming, and I'm like, why won't you help me? And I'm screaming, and nobody would help. And Alina just decided she was gonna go. And I'm holding on to the wreckage of this fucking train now. I don't know. And it's just like, I don't know what happened. And then when I woke up, it's like I couldn't move my left arm. And I had all this pain here, my neck, and everything else. I feel like I've been through a fucking train accident. And how'd we get there anyway? It sounds stupid.
Well, the fucked up thing is, I'm really fucking sore. I'm going to a worse trauma than that, too. Maybe something was fucked up.
I don't know.